Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the City of Canning for those who are here for the first time. I don't think any of you are. And welcome to the Ordinary Council meeting of the 19th of May 2026. It's Tuesday evening, 6 p.m, and I declare the Ordinary Council meeting of May the 19th officially open. Now, generally we would do an acknowledgement of country. I certainly would, but tonight we're blessed to have, very lucky to have a member of our staff here. Ashley Narkle is with us. Ashley, if you're comfortable, I'd like to invite you to do the acknowledgement of country this evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor Hall. I'm very happy to be here tonight acknowledging country. Kaya, Ngananko Ash Narkle. My name's Ash Narkle. I'm Aboriginal Engagement Officer at the City. I'm a Wajak and Wilman Noongar Yorga, so my family come from Borloo, Perth, and then further down south in Narrabeen. I'm very proud to be living and working and here tonight on my traditional, my Mort's traditional country, my family's traditional country, and I acknowledge tens of thousands of years of connection to country. We acknowledge that this is a traditional country of the traditional lands of the Wajak people, and there's thousands of years of connection to country, culture, history, and we pay respects to my old people and the elders who have continued on law and customs and knowledge and kinship systems. And we also acknowledge all the other leaders of community that are doing the hard work and have the resilience and a continuing culture on today. Thank you, Mayor Hall.
Thank you very much, Ashley. Thank you. And that is one of the protocols that we will be considering later on, councillors, from the document that is on the agenda this evening. May I ask everyone here this evening to make sure your mobiles are turned off or at least on silent for the duration of the meeting. This meeting is being live streamed via the City's YouTube channel. And just for the sake of transparency, my phone is here. It is actually on. My father's in emergency at the moment, so I hope he's going okay. But at the moment, we'll press ahead. Council meetings are public meetings, and any information you provide shall be recorded and may be publicly accessible. The council chambers are not a parliament, and parliamentary privilege does not apply. Consequently, elected members and staff risk being held personally liable if their comments are found to be defamatory or breach any duty of confidentiality. Statements made during council meetings are solely those of the people making them. Nothing expressed at a council meeting may be attributed to the City of Canning unless it is adopted by a resolution of this council. And elected members and employees must disclose any financial, proximity or partiality interest that they may have in an item on the agenda and declare the interest at the commencement of the meeting or at the very latest when the item is about to be discussed. Financial, proximity and impartiality interests are to be disclosed in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government Act. Elected members disclosing a financial or proximity interest must not participate in that part of a briefing relating to their interest and must leave the meeting for the duration of the item. The confirmed minutes of a council meeting are the official record of that council meeting. As required under the Local Government Act, the City publishes a video recording of the meeting, and of course it is being live streamed. Recordings must not be copied, republished or reproduced without the City's express permission. Councillors, to ensure clear audio, can I please ask again that you speak directly into your microphones, nice and close when addressing the meeting. Thank you very much. As far as attendances, there are apologies at item 2.1, there are none. At item 2.2, approved leave of absence. Councillor Tuchek has an approved leave of absence between the 1st of May and the 30th of June and is therefore not here this evening. And we congratulate him on his birthday, which is actually today. Disclosures of interest at item 3. Chief Executive Officer Michael Littleton, do we have any?
Thank you, Mayor Hall. I've received 2 declarations of interest in relation to item 3.1, declarations of financial interest. The first is from Mayor Hall. It is in relation to OC 008 of 26. It is in relation to Mayor's attendance at Urban 95 Academy London Residents Week, 13th to the 17th of July. The nature of Mayor Hall's association is Urban 95 Academy has invited the team from the City of Canning, consisting of the Mayor, Director Bride and Principal Landscape Architect, to attend a 1-week residence in London for the Urban 95 Academy Residence Week, with the Academy covering all costs. I just acknowledge that Mayor Hall will leave the chamber when that item is considered. The second item is from, the second declaration of interest was received from Graham Bride, who's the Director of Planning and Development. The item details are the same as I've just read out. The nature of Graham's or Director Bride's association, again, is the same. Of course, just acknowledging that Director Bride is not a decision maker tonight and will remain in the chamber.
Thank you, CEO. Announcements by presiding member. Look, I'm really pleased to announce that for those of you who don't know, and we should all know, next week is actually National Reconciliation Week. That commences on Wednesday next week, which is the 27th, and runs right through to Wednesday, the following Wednesday, which is the 3rd. And the City of Canning will be delivering the following initiatives, really terrific initiatives, including Paint the Country, a session with art and Aboriginal arts and assistance. That's on Friday, the 29th of May. Cultural learning experience with Sister Kate's Home Kids Corporation. Terrific that we still have that ongoing and enduring relationship with them. That will be on Wednesday, the 3rd of June. Collaborative Community Multicultural Seniors art piece at the Daljaroo Belia, Canning River at Riverton Library. I have to do that better next time, Gary. During National Reconciliation Week, we're launching a collection of new bookmarks. I've got them right here, a whole collection of bookmarks by local Noongar artist Daryl Bellotti. Daryl does a lot of work in the southeast corridor of Perth, a highly respected member of the community. And they're available from our libraries, from Creek, and also from Hillview. And of course, a lot of schools are also involving themselves in the Reconciliation Week. I've already been invited to at least one, I think, event. So I really look forward to seeing councillors involve themselves in those if the opportunity arrives. But just to touch on one thing that's on the agenda tonight, not to debate it, but just to touch on it. This evening, councillors, in light of what we're doing for Reconciliation Week and in the shadow of the approaching Reconciliation Week, got an opportunity tonight to consider a really, what I believe is a landmark document that will help guide and shape the way that Noongar cultural protocols are dealt with in this state. And that's originated right here in the City of Canning. I'm really pleased that that's happened. I'm incredibly proud of the work that's been done. And I'd like to congratulate our team internally who have worked so hard to make that happen. There's been a lot of conversation, some of it really disheartening in recent months, about rhetoric around the welcome to country and acknowledgement of country protocols, with sectors of the community indicating that their apparent overuse, particularly with respect to the acknowledgement, has somewhat diminished their importance, and that has really been a sad outcome for many of us who are supporting those initiatives in the community. It is a sensitive subject, but it's of great importance to Aboriginal people, and for that reason, you know, Gary Fisher and I, Director here, had numerous discussions how we could dip our toes into that and do something meaningful to try to guide people, mostly Wodglers like us, white people like us that don't fully understand the importance of those protocols. And we really wanted to come up to an agreed protocol that might help guide all Australians. It's not unusual for all of us to attend events where we see, you know, an Aboriginal elder perform welcome to country, an act of spiritual cleansing, and then see well-intended VIPs or invited guests line up to deliver an acknowledgement of country. And I've been to events where I've seen 6 or 7 or more people line up to provide an acknowledgement. And, you know, the work we did with those who undertook this journey with us, it was revealed that, you know, that somewhat diminishes the work, the welcome performed by the elder, because he has already, or she has already provided a spiritual cleansing and a protocol setting to let people understand where they are and where the connection to country is. And then to have a long list of people come up after that is not the best outcome, and that was considered by those who provided their sage advice. The draft document tonight has been considered, was endorsed and supported by highly respected Noongars people, including Dr. Millie Penny, AM, Cheryl Phillips, Margaret Drayton, Angela Ryder, Jacinda Blurton, and Dr. Richard Wally, OAM, who was a resident of this city for many years, now living elsewhere, but was here in the city of Canning for, I think, 40 years. Dr. Wally is actually credited with being one of the people who reintroduced the tradition of the welcome and acknowledgement of country, and his endorsement of this protocol document should guide those of us in public life tasked with delivering the acknowledgement of country at community events. I'm immensely grateful to all of those mentioned above for their commitment to the process and providing the City of Canning with their advice. We're all very grateful for that. I actually spoke with Dr. Richard Wally this afternoon, and he congratulated me and the City of Canning on the development of the document and our willingness to listen to elders and to take on the subject that is often sensitive. Those protocols include three incredibly important processes, the first being the acknowledgement of country, and when it's appropriate at an event. The first step was that where an acknowledgement of country is appropriate at an event, and an Aboriginal person is in attendance at that event, they should be invited to deliver it, or a welcome if they have the permission of elders. And that is what occurred here this evening from Ashley Narkle. And Ashley, I thank you for that. And too often people take the opportunity to deliver an acknowledgement when an Aboriginal person is actually in the room. It seems far more fitting and acceptable for that to occur. And that's the feedback that came from that group. The second is that when a welcome to country has been performed, subsequent speakers should not deliver an acknowledgement of country. That is because the elder has already performed a spiritual cleansing. If a speaker feels strongly that they need to say something, they should simply thank the elder for delivering the welcome. And that seems common sense to me. Thirdly, when an acknowledgement of country has been delivered at an event, multiple subsequent speakers are not required to provide another and another acknowledgement, because respect has already been shown and foundation setting of who and where we are has already been done and does not need to be done again. So whilst the document addresses the far broader protocols than just those mentioned, I remain hopeful that if adopted tonight, the document, which is titled Respect for Noongar Cultural Protocols and Practices, might be respected and recognised by others in good faith and help to guide the future of these ancient practices. That would be, I think, a good outcome. Thank you, councillors. I look forward to deliberating on that item a little bit later in the agenda. Public question time at item 6. Responses to questions taken on notice. There are none. Questions from the public. I don't believe we have any questions tonight, so I don't propose to open public question time. And we will therefore move on to the confirmation of minutes at item 7 on the agenda. And they are from the ordinary council meeting back on the 21st of April 2026. The officer's recommendation is a simple one, that the minutes of that meeting be confirmed as having been circulated. Councillors, the recommendation is on page 5 and is also on screen. Can I have a mover, please, for the item? Councillor Second, thank you. And Councillor Ben Kunza is the seconder. Councillors, will put that to the vote.
The confirmation of minutes for OCM of 21st of April 2026 has been carried unanimously with all 10 in favour.
Thank you, councillors. At items 8.1, 8.2 and 8.3, the receiving of petitions, presentations and deputations, there are none this evening. And so we shall move to applications for leave of absence. None have been received. At item 10, questions by members of which due notice has been given without discussion. Deputy Mayor Mark Bain did ask a question. He asked, has there been any progress or development on the proposed Manning Road, Dumont Street, Ella Street intersection upgrade? And Director Bowe is about to provide a response. Thank you, Director Bowe.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The City was unsuccessful in its application to install traffic signals at the Manning Road, Dumont Street and Ella Street intersection. Subsequently, Development WA have advised that they were keen to lead the approval process for these traffic signals, as both agencies believe they are warranted, noting though that they would need our assistance and would need to liaise with Main Roads WA. The City has now shared all of our modelling and design work with Development WA to progress the project as part of the redevelopment of the Bentley redevelopment area. Key Development WA staff attended a meeting recently with City staff on this matter and are fully aware of the traffic signal approval process. The City will continue to work with Development WA with the objective of getting the relevant traffic signals approved, installed and operational.
Terrific. Sounds like a good outcome. Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for raising it. Item 11, items brought forward. For the convenience of those in the public gallery, there are none this evening. Reports of committee meetings, similarly, there are none. The first report tonight will require myself and Director Bride to leave the room. It's item OC 008 of 26, the title being Mayor's Attendance at Urban 95 Academy London Residents Week from the 13th to the 17th of July 2026. Can I ask the Deputy Mayor to come and please take the chair while I leave the room? Just there, Deputy. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No, it's not. The door stay open. Sorry, guys. Can the door stay open? It's not confidential. He's just leaving the chamber. Mayor Hall has declared an impartiality interest and has left the chamber. Again, the item is OC-008-26, Mayor's Attendance at Urban 95 Academy London Residents Week, 13 to 17 July 2026. The officer's recommendation is on page 8 of the report and it is also on our screens. I'm happy to move the item from the floor. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Page? Thank you. So, just speaking in support of the officer's recommendation, I've mentioned previously that I don't support Australian mayors travelling overseas. However, all the costs for the trip are being met by the Academy, and Mayor Hall has often talked about the training course with us and the insights it has given him into adapting public open spaces to better accommodate young children, particularly toddlers, and also their carers. And I do note his genuine interest in learning more about this and sharing these ideas when he returns home and with council, and looking forward to seeing what he has to say. Okay, Councillor Page.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The experience of babies and toddlers are often not front of mind when urban development is undertaken. They tend not to complete surveys and opinion polls, but early childhood development is crucial to enable these babies and toddlers to grow into the children, teenagers and adults of our city that will continue to contribute and grow with the city. And I think that there is a very definitive project that is being worked on, and it is a really great opportunity for the team that we were invited, and the costs are fully covered, so I am in support.
Thank you, Councillor Page. Would any other councillor like to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Kunza.
I just have a question, Deputy Mayor Bain, through you. Paragraph 9 references other local governments, City of Vincent, City of South Perth and Town of Mosman Park that have participated in this training. I assume the city's spoken to them based on the comment. I was just wondering whether there's any projects or programs that these local governments have implemented that have benefited toddlers and small children following this training.
Thank you, Councillor Kunza. CEO Littleton. My apologies. Director Bride, can you respond to Councillor Kunza's question, please?
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I am aware that there were representatives from those councils that went onto those particular courses. I did speak to one of the planning directors from South Perth in relation to this, but certainly I haven't got the details of their specific projects, but they have shared on social media and along a number of platforms about their experience and the quality of the training. So that's where that comment came from.
Councillor Kunze, any more questions? Would any other elected member like to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Secon.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just have a question. So there are 50 local governments from across the world attending this training, and 10 are selected to attend the Residents' Week in London. May I ask if there are any other local governments within WA or Australia that has been selected to for the Residents' Week in London besides us?
Thank you, Councillor Secon. Director Blyde, are you able to answer the councillor's question?
Three, Deputy Mayor. I know there were, of the 50, there were 3 from Australia. There was Kwinana, Canning and I believe Geelong. I'm just not sure of the 10 shortlisted applicants at this stage.
Councillor Hearn.
Is it a prerequisite for City of Canning to participate in this program for all 3 attendees to attend?
Thank you for your question. Director Blyde.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, there's obviously a 7-week course which involves 15 modules, online training, the completion of assessments. So the 3 that have obviously undertaken that are the Mayor, myself and the Principal Landscape Architect. Are you suggesting can the 3 be, any of the 3 be swapped out? Is that your question? Sorry.
My question would be, potentially the 2 city officers could attend.
Yeah, I understand. As you would see, I think it's in one of the paragraphs in the report, they really want a mixture of technical experience, but also a representative from the council itself, and they did make it very clear as part of the selection criteria that the mayor of the local government, being part of that team of 3, would be prioritised. So they certainly want to mix across levels of experience, technical application and from the council itself.
Councillor Hearn.
So the council does not have to approve the staff attendance at this conference. If council was not to approve the mayor's attendance, would we still proceed with the city officers participating, or would the entire attendance be off the table?
That's a good question. Director Blyde.
Yeah, through you, Deputy Mayor. My understanding is that we could make a request, but as I said, I think if the mayor wasn't there, then possibly they may not. They may go to another group. So it's difficult to say. I think they would prefer all 3 that have done the training to attend. But if the mayor wasn't supported, the question could be asked.
Councillor Jacobs.
Thanks, Mr Deputy Mayor. Just a quick question. Point 6, it says that there was 10 shortlisted and we got like a late invite. Is that because one of the other top 10 couldn't go? I'd just like to know a little bit more about point 6 if there is any context. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jacobs. Director Blyde.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. Unsure whether there was additional budget or whether one team dropped out. They haven't identified that.
CEO Littleton. Yeah, look, I just wanted to clarify. My understanding is selection is merit-based, and the information obviously that we had is that the Academy were very impressed by the city's application and thought that it was warranted that that the city's team be extended an opportunity to participate in the residency. Councillor Hearn, did you have a question?
No more questions, but I would like to speak.
Absolutely, go for it. Yes.
Okay. I've had to deliberate over this one quite considerably. It's a very challenging decision to make. In my view, the question of whether elected members should travel overseas has never been a question of cost. This presents a challenging precedent whereby the future decision would be about how much is too much. I don't consider the babies and toddlers experience as a priority area for City of Canning. I say that as a mother who has been a full-time carer of toddlers and babies fully raised in the City of Canning. There is still some cost to the city by way of attendee salaries and presumably acting allowances for the Deputy Mayor. At this point in time, there are a myriad of high priority issues facing our city, and I'm further concerned that pursuing the training program, our focus may be redirected towards this lower priority planning matter. As I've said, I've deliberated very much over this decision, and on this occasion, I cannot support it.
Thank you, Councillor Hearn. Would any other councillors like to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Jacobs.
Yeah, I'm happy to support the motion. I think it's a good opportunity to go out. Expenses are paid. A bit like you, Deputy Mayor, I'd probably be a bit more hesitant if it was would incur a lot of costs, but I think it's a pretty good opportunity, and some of these opportunities probably don't come up very often. To get to London, I think it's probably a good thing to do if you can. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jacobs. Any other further contributions, councillors? I'll close debate on the item. I don't intend to debate the points raised by Councillor Hearn. You're very much entitled to make them. What I will do is put the item to the vote. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, Governance. Are we able to... Sorry, you go ahead.
The motion for OC 00826 has been carried with 8 in favour and 1 voting against.
Thank you. CEO, are we able to invite Mayor Hall to return? Mayor Hall, just to advise that item OC-008-26 was carried 8 in favour, 1 against. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you to Deputy Mayor Mark Bain. We'll move on to item 13.2, which is the Director of Mr. Nelson Maurizio, the Director of Corporate and Commercial, as the monthly financial report from back in March 2026. It's CC006 of 26. The recommendation is on page 9 of the agenda and is on screen. Can I have a mover, please, for the item? Deputy Mayor, thank you. Seconder? Councillor Kunza, thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I support the officer's recommendation, and I'm also pleased to see that Main Roads has given us some timelines regarding the completion of 3 projects that I raised last week and the line markings associated with them. So that's a good result. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, councillors. We might just put that to the vote. Thank you.
Item CC 006 of 26 has been carried unanimously with all 10 voting in favour.
Thank you. The items have been carried. We move on to CC 007 of 26, which is the proposed differential rating for 2026 and 27. The officer's recommendation is on screen. It also appears on page 48 of the agenda. Can I have a mover, please, for the item? Deputy Mayor, thank you. Councillor Jacobs is the seconder. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I support the officer's recommendation and the advertising of the proposed differential rates. I note that part 2 of the recommendation advised that the rates will be further moderated following completion of the re-evaluation modelling, and I hope the City, and I know they will be working behind the scenes to further reduce the proposed rates of revenue increase of 5.75%. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Jacobs.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I support this motion. I think it's a necessary step in our deliberations for our budget in 2026-27. And I note that gross rental values have changed. And so this is a necessary step, not only legally speaking, but we need to get our ducks in a row and help us to continue to deliberate on our important budget deliberations. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against it before we put the item to the vote? Thank you. We'll put the item to the vote.
Item CC 007 of 26 has been carried unanimously with all 10 voting in favour.
Thank you, Governance. The next item is from the Directorate of Mr Graham Bride, the Director of Planning and Development. It's item PD 006 of 26. The title of the report being the initiation of Scheme Amendment number 30 to Town Planning Scheme number 21, amendments to the Development Guide, Map and Scheme Text Omnibus. The officer's recommendation appears on page 66 of the agenda and it is also on screen. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Jacobs. Seconder? Councillor McCorkle, thank you. Councillor Jacobs.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I support this. I think this is an important step in the development of the area. Obviously, with the railway going in, there's some exciting new opportunities, and I think this provides further specificity? Can't get the word. It's basically it makes things more specific, and I think it's a welcome initiation. That's all. I need to learn that word. Thank you.
We got the vibe. Thank you. Councillor McCorkle, have you got anything you'd like to add?
No, Mr Mayor. Councillor Jacobs pretty much hit the nail on the head.
You support the
Yes,
motion?
I support.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak either against the motion? Thank you. In the absence of any argument against, we shall put the item to the vote. Thank you.
Item PD 006 of 26 has been carried unanimously with all 10 voting in favour.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is item 13.4. It's from the Directorate of Mr Warren Bowe, to my right, to your left, the Director of Infrastructure and Environment. The report number is IE 004 of 26. The report title is Request for Installation of a Memorial to Survivors of Institutional Abuse. The officer's recommendation, which is in 3 parts, appears on page 72 of the printed agenda and is also on screen. Can I have a mover, please, for the item? Councillor Ross will be the mover and Councillor Page the seconder. Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Mayor Hall. Yes, I just support the officer's recommendation, and I really hope that this plaque can help some people in some healing for some deep wounds.
Can only be a good thing if it does. Councillor Page.
I support the officer's recommendation, and I also echo the sentiments that the commemorative tree and plaque provide comfort and healing for the survivor who's made the request.
Thank you, Councillor Page. Anyone wish to speak against the item? In the absence of any dissent, we might just put the item to the vote. Thank you, councillors.
Item IE 004 of 26 has been carried unanimously with all 10 voting in favour.
Thank you, Governors. We move to item 13.5 from the Directorate of Mr Gary Fisher, the Director of Customer and Community, who has not worked hard enough at this table on most Tuesday nights, but nice to see one in your basket. CO 001 of 26 is the report number. The title of the report being Respect for Noongar Cultural Protocols and Practices Guidance Document. In draft form at the moment. The officer's recommendation is that Council endorses the draft Respect for Noongar Cultural Protocols and Practices document. The recommendation is on page 77 of the agenda and is on screen. Can I have a mover, please, for the item? Councillor Page, thank you. Second would be Councillor Secon. Thank you, Councillor Page.
Thank you, Mayor Hall. I support the officer's recommendation. I'd like to echo the Mayor's comments and acknowledge the valuable input of the Pilot First Nations Advisory Panel, which contributed to this, and also the work of the staff at the City working on this really great document to hopefully give us really clear guidelines and focus going forward.
Thank you, Councillor Page. Councillor Secon.
Thank you, Mayor Hall. I also echo your sentiments and Councillor Page's sentiments. I'm so pleased to see the city in the forefront with these protocols and practice documents to be able, in guiding the city, the council, the community and volunteers in respectfully engaging with the Noongar people and its culture. Thank you.
You're right. Someone needs to lead in this space. I'm glad that the City of Canning is. I'm really proud of the work done by our staff. Anyone else wish to speak on the item? Councillor Hearn.
Our city has a strong history with our Aboriginal people, long before it was a city and continuing today. I support these protocols and guidelines, and I condone that these have not been developed for Aboriginal people, but by Aboriginal people. I hope our Aboriginal community, and particularly our Aboriginal youth, increasingly see their language and culture reflected in the community around them and feel embraced and included by our community at large.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Hearn. Councillors, unless anyone wishes to speak against the item, we might just put it to the vote. Thank you. We'll put the item to the vote.
Item CO001 of 26 has been carried unanimously with all 10 voting in favour.
Thank you, councillors, and again, my congratulations to Gary Fisher for leading that piece of work, and also to the staff involved in putting it together. Item 14 is motions of which previous notice has been given. We do have a NOM. It's Notice of Motion 003 of 26. The title being Review of City of Canning CAT Local Laws 2021. It's been moved and put by Councillor Ben Kunza. Can I have a seconder, please, for the item? And that would be Councillor Jacobs. Thank you. Councillor Kunza.
Thank you, Mayor Hall. Look, many of you probably would agree that roaming cats within our suburbs has been a significant issue within the community for many, many years, especially due to the impact they have on our environment. Feral and domestic cats are estimated to cause the death of billions of birds, mammals, reptiles and amphibians every single year. Though feral cats are the predominant issue, domesticated cats are the only animal whereby it's generally accepted that they may roam our neighbourhood. Dogs, birds and even pet snakes aren't left to roam our suburbs, but it's long been fine for owners to allow domesticated cats to wander free despite the environmental consequences. Now, the City of Canning cat local law was developed between 2018 and 2021, a 3-year process that involved 3 separate periods of public consultation. That public consultation, which primarily focused on a review of the local law as it then stood, elicited 33 submissions. The majority of those responses were either in support of cat curfews or cat containment, or to support the Friends of Queen Park Bushland submission, which in part argued for containment. Now, whilst containment was a predominant issue within the consultation, the reality is it was not permissible under the legislative framework, so we didn't really analyse it and we didn't propose it within our cat local law. And ultimately, there were only 33 responses across the entire process, which I would argue is not of a sufficient response size to make such a significant change to our cat local law limiting cat movements. Now, as the report outlines, however, in 2019, the state government undertook considerable public consultation on the Cat Act 2011, which included a large response rate arguing for cat curfews or cat containment. Sadly, however, despite the large amount of community engagement, the Cat Act review led to no substantive changes. Now, this new Cat Amendment Bill, which is now being progressed through Parliament, proposes to empower local governments to make decisions on important matters, including whether to restrict cats to their owners' premises, prohibit cats from all public areas, place conditions on when a cat may be permitted in a public area, introduce cat curfews or time restrictions, and require cats to be under the effective control of their owners or contained if leaving their owner's property. Despite an exhaustive local law review many years ago, we have limited information on what the Canning community thinks about these 5 issues. Now, it's my belief that we should have a simple, specific community engagement process, utilising all our opportunities, including online platforms, as well as surveys at appropriate Canning events, to proactively seek the public's opinion. I believe doing this consultation now will allow the city to seek specific feedback on these specific points removed from detailed legislation. People generally don't have the time or desire to read local laws or provide feedback, which is one of the reasons we've previously had a low participation rate. I also believe it's important to understand the community's views so that when the bill becomes an act, we have an understanding of the community viewpoint to guide the design of the new local law and conduct that process in an efficient manner. Time is relevant here, as the predominant issue that these new laws are seeking to mitigate is environmental damage. We have the chance to be ready and take whatever action the community wants us to do. If that's a cat curfew or cat containment, then we'll be ready to advertise our local law with those provisions included. There is also much for the city to consider if we change our local law, including how we administer the proposed changes, resourcing of that administration, and also considerations like grandfathering any proposed containment to not impact more elderly cats who may struggle with containment. These important points will only be considered if there is a level of support within the community to move down that containment route, which is why I think we should seek to understand that as soon as possible. With respect to the officer comment at paragraph 16, I spoke to Director Bright about this, and there is no presumption within point 3 of the motion. It is simply requesting a draft amendment local law to be presented to Council following the conclusion of community consultation and the gazettal of the Cat Amendment Local Laws Bill. The draft local law will be guided by the consultation and need to adhere to the Act. If the presumptive point, as per paragraph 16, is stating now that we need to amend the local law, I would highlight that it will need to be amended, even if it's minimalist, to include provision for the effective control of a cat, something our local law doesn't include as it was not previously defined within the Act. Our draft local law 2020 sought to define what effective control meant, but it was subsequently removed as it did not align with the Act. As I said when we went through the review process, and I understand a number of you weren't here then, I've seen residents walking their cat on a harness in Adenia Park, but that became an unlawful act as Adenia Park became a prohibited area. Most of our reserves are now prohibited areas. Staff said at the time the rangers would use discretion in administering it, even though that would be allowing an unlawful act. The new bill proposes to define a cat under effective control and would permit council to allow cats in areas that may be prohibited, such as Adenia Park, if the cat is under effective control. There is no difference here to how dogs are managed. Our local law would need to be amended. My motion doesn't prohibit a SIB being arranged prior to a council report, as that's normally the case with nearly everything we discuss. As I've said a few times in the last 12 months, I do not think it appropriate to discuss important matters as we are here tonight in a public forum and then conclude it in a confidential briefing. I have no issue with a strategic briefing, but I would like to see this come back with a draft local law, which is either minimalist or include provisions such as cat containment measures, which will then need to seek public comment. And to finish off, sorry, I recognise it's now red, Mr Mayor, I'm nearly finished. I want to state that there are many responsible cat owners out there, and this is not an attack on cats or their owners. I know there are many responsible cat owners who confine their cats, but who take exception with these discussions as they see an attack on cats. The reality is, though, that the environmental impact can't be ignored, and we need to see what our canning community thinks about whether canning should use these measures that the state government is seeking to empower us with, and I would ask Council for your support.
Thank you, Councillor Kunza. Can I hear from our seconder? Councillor Jacobs.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. First of all, I want to thank Councillor Kunza for his foresight and initiative on this. This is definitely something that, as a local council, we should be getting ahead of, especially with the imminent tabling of the Cat Amendment Local Laws Bill 2026 in State Parliament. I'm just going to keep it quite brief. Basically, I've seen the effects of cats out and about in Mason, and some of them can be quite detrimental to local wildlife, especially birds. I think there's an exciting opportunity here with technology to get a better idea. I know when I was on council the first time, actually, from my memory, University of Curtin, I think, did an actual tracking of these cats going everywhere, and it just blew my mind as to how mobile they were nocturnally, and the kilometres that they were doing were quite substantial. So I think there is a need to use technology to get ahead of this potential change in the law. I'm just reading off here now. Basically, I think it's good that we're going to open it up to public consultation, because this is something that will affect all our ratepayers and people that own cats. So I think it'd be an excellent opportunity for them now to say what they think about any potential changes. And point 3, request the CEO present council with a draft cat amendment law. I think that's obviously getting ahead of it too. So I'm happy to second the motion. I'm keen to see where the state government's going with this, but probably given the fact that they have control of the lower house and the upper house, it's probably a bit of a fait accompli. Hence, I think it's probably a good idea to get ahead of it, get some consultation. We don't want to just put things on our ratepayers. Here, these are new rules. I know there's probably a lot of cat owners that are quite responsible, but then there's some others that sort of offer sort of free-range solutions where the cat sort of just goes wherever it likes. I think we have a responsibility to look after native fauna and wildlife, and I think this ties in with that. So that's all my comments, Mr. Mayor. I support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jacobs. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to propose an amendment, that which appears at paragraph 16, and I'm more than happy for Councillor Kunze to exercise his discretion as to whether he wants to change the existing point 3 to accommodate that which appears at 16. I'll leave that with Councillor Kunze.
Thank you, councillors. The Deputy Mayor has proposed an amendment to Part 3, which is actually in paragraph 16, I think, on page 83 of tonight's report. And the amendment is now on screen. Once you have read it, yes, councillor.
Am I allowed to ask a question, please?
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Am I allowed to ask a question? So, if the Cat Amendment Local Laws Bill 2026 passes, we would then need to also amend the local laws to reflect those changes?
Director Bride.
Through Mr. Mayor. The laws are discretionary, so it would be up to the local government to amend its local law. So rather than mandating these provisions, it just allows local governments to implement them. So you've got a head power to implement these provisions in your own individual local law.
Anything else, councillor?
So would it be fair to just refer to that as a parallel legislation rather than an overriding legislation? Or our local laws don't have to follow that legislation, they can be working in parallel?
Director Bride.
Yeah, through Mr. Mayor, if we want to introduce cat containment measures, we can only restrict it to the matters that the bill defines, but it's discretionary, it's not mandated, so it just allows the local governments to implement it. In terms of whether we need to amend it regardless of the containment measures, the only issue that comes to mind is that issue of effective control. At the moment, as Councillor Kunze has said, if a cat is located within one of those reserves, which is identified cat prohibition area, it relies on the discretion of the ranger. It hasn't got a definition of effective control in it. It doesn't mean we have to have a definition. It's not mandating or requiring the city. It's just one of those administrative matters that could be considered at a later time. So the main driver of that bill is the cat containment provisions.
Thank you. And I'll just ask for a seconder for Deputy Mayor Bain's amendment. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Jacobs, thank you. You've seconded the amendment. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank Councillor Kunze for his notice of motion, and I very much share his keenness to amend the city's cat local law, and I'm very much eagerly anticipating the progress and gazettal of the Cat Amendment Bill 2026 so we can make some changes. Currently, as I read the NOM, it's requesting the city formulate a draft cat amendment local law with consideration given to the results of the public consultation process. I think it is better from a policy-making perspective that the results of the public consultation be presented and discussed with council post the gazettal of the bill at an SIB before the city starts drafting a cat amendment local law. So if we consider those results, what if the result of the community consultation is 50-50 regarding cat curfews or containment? It is not a full consultation and will be conducted mostly via the city socials. What if there are only 15 responses? The city will take the results, whatever they may be, or however small they may be, when drafting their amended local law. I just think it would be a better approach if council has the opportunity to evaluate and discuss all the information results and provide feedback on the options the city puts forward at an SIB before the city proceeds to amend the cat local law. This way, I believe, is more efficient and effective than council trying to make amendments to the officer's recommendation when the law comes straight to an OCM. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Jacobs.
Yeah, I get Councillor Kunz's point, but I'm a bit of an old school. Been on council for a little while now, probably this is about my 9th year. I haven't been continuous on council, but what I'm trying to say is that this is what I'm used to. So being who I am, I like having that SIB along the way. So this is why I'm supporting the Deputy Mayor's amendment to this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Kunza.
I just wanted to speak against the amendment.
Go ahead, Jeb.
So the points just raised in regard to old school SIB and so forth, as I mentioned in my initial commentary, there's nothing that prohibits. I would expect a SIB to be organised. Anytime we have a notice of motion put to this council, we subsequently have a strategic briefing on it before it comes to council. There's no that immediately once the bill becomes gazetted, passed through Parliament and gazetted, and then the consultation is finished, that the draft local law will be presented to council through an OCM. That's not what it says at all. It basically just requires that the item get brought back to council and that a draft local law be presented to council at some point. I'm very concerned, as I mentioned previously, when we get through a process of actually seeking the public's opinion and going through this process, and then there's actually nothing that brings it back out to the public. It's discussed behind closed doors at a non-decision-making forum in confidential settings. I very much think there needs to be an instrument to bring it back to the public chambers, the council chambers, and for us to make a decision on it. As I said, there's nothing that prohibits us from giving that direction through a strategic briefing, understanding that if there was 15 people that responded, then there probably isn't the appetite to go through a cat containment, pursue cat containment and so forth. I'm not sure what that would lead to, but I don't think it's just going to be an online only. One of the reasons I think that we need to start public consultation now is it gives us an actual longer time to go through physical events and so forth and seek public opinion instead of just a small window that we often get in a local law review. I believe that we should actually go through the initial way that I've written it to actually get a draft local law provided and for it to come back to council. And I would ask for your support on that. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Look, I'll speak in favour of the amendment. I too think, great nom. Thank you, Councillor. It's been on the mind of all of us who care about wildlife and understand the reasons why we need to contain cats, specifically in the Canning River Regional Park. But I do agree with Councillor Jacobs and also with the Deputy Mayor in relation to just the process here. It's always been the case that when we've had consultation or surveying, generally comes back to a strategic issues briefing. The purpose of that is that often at those briefings we'll invite people to come to us to provide ancillary information that might help us better understand the results. And I can remember, many survey results and consultation results coming back to this council at a strategic issues briefing so that we can actually discuss it and be provided with the sort of relevant information that'll assist us to make a decision. I also know that, by going out early to the consultation, understand why Councillor Kunza wants to do that. If we actually amend the local law, we then have to go to consultation again. So under the Act, we have to undergo statewide advertising and call for submissions for 6 weeks, public submissions. So we kind of are putting people through that process twice, and I'm not absolutely understanding why we would need to do that. But I am, from a matter of due process, I definitely support the intent of the motion, and I thank Councillor Kunza for raising it. I agree with almost everything he has put in his reasoning, but I also agree that, for the sake of good governance and due process, I agree that before we start drafting up local laws on the basis of who knows how many submissions we might have, given submissions we've had for other matters, there might be a handful of people actually submit to us, and we will be required then to draw up a draft, or the city will be required to draw up a draft local law. I'm not sure that we should be putting the cart before the horse. I think there's a process here. It's in many respects governed by legislation in the Local Government Act. There's a step-by-step process to be undertaken, and I'm not saying that this is straying away from that, but I think there's a better way of doing that, and that the amendment to Part 3, which is, I guess, minor, doesn't affect the intent of Councillor Kunza's motion, I don't believe, but it certainly does, I think, deal with the matter in a far more logical, process-driven manner, and I think our community would expect us to do that. Anyone else wish to speak just on the amendment? Not on the motion, but on the amendment? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Did you want to close just on the amendment?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll just briefly touch on a couple of points raised by Councillor Kunza. In regard to community consultation, this isn't stopping or quelling the community consultation that will happen beforehand as part of the process leading up to the strategic issues briefing, after which the city will draft the amended local law, and then, as the Mayor rightly pointed out, then that will go to a full community consultation for 6 weeks. So very much community consultation is part of this proposed amendment, and just having those words in there, strategic issues briefing, it now becomes a council resolution that has to happen, and I draw confidence from that. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. We shall then put the amendment to the vote. Thank you, everyone. So we're just voting just on the amendment at the moment. Thank you. We just got one more.
The amendment for NOM 003 of 26 has been carried with 9 voting in favour and 1 voting against.
Thank you. Thank you, councillors. The amendment has now been put and resolved, so it becomes forms part of the substantive standard motion. Councillor Kunza has already spoken on the substantive motion. Councillor Jacobs similarly has already spoken. Does anyone wish to speak? Councillor Page, yes.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Whilst the environmental impact is not to be understated, I think it's also really important to note that changes with the cat local law is actually also for the benefit of the welfare and safety of cats. Being lost, being injured or killed by traffic or other wildlife like snakes, these are some of the risks that are taken when cats are left to freely roam. So it's not just about the impact on wildlife, it's also impacting the safety of the cats themselves. So I just want that to be noted because that hadn't been noted. Thank you.
Thank you. Did anyone wish to speak against the substantive motion? No one. Thank you. Councillor Kunza, no one speaking against the motion, so I don't propose to ask you to close it. We shall just put it to the vote. Thank you.
The substantive motion as amended for NOM 003 of 26 has been carried unanimously with all 10 voting in favour.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Governance. We move on to item 15 on tonight's agenda, which is urgent business. There is none. Similarly, at item 16, confidential matters, there are also no matters that are confidential for us to consider. And at item 17, closure, there being no further business, I now declare the meeting officially closed. The time being, is that right? 6:59 p.m. I'd like to thank you all for attendance. Thank you.